All right, good afternoon, everyone. Or should I say good evening? I always make that mistake. But welcome again to the Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. And before I get started, I want to send a special shout out to the following: Grape, or should I say Grape X with the X instead of A, the Fortnite lover. Thank you. Special shout out to Grady Simmons. Thank you for your comments. Nimi Double X, Munchkin Boy, as well as Benjamin Shemwa and Nijith KP. I apologize if I didn't pronounce your names perfectly, but thank you guys so much for your subscription. And to the unknown subscribers, I appreciate you as well. With that being said, let's get started with today's review of Friday Night Smackdown, coming to you live from Chicago, the same arena and city where AEW Dynamite had one of the most amazing promos with CM Punk and MJF. But let's get down to tonight's business. As we opened up the show, I'm used to Roman Reigns opening up the show, but we opened up the show with Sasha Banks and Toni Storm versus Charlotte and Shotzi. Sasha Banks paying tribute to Spider-Man No Way Home with her attire, as we opened up SmackDown with her and Toni Storm. And the match was a filling out process with Shotzi and Toni Storm, and it would see Shotzi get isolated for a little bit. And then after that, we would see Sasha get isolated by Team Charlotte for a little bit, with Pat McAfee sending great raps of Charlotte chop chop, make Sasha drop drop. Pat McAfee is awesome on commentary. But either way, the match was great. The tag team match was great. And it got interesting at the end when Toni Storm went for a crossbody after tagging Sasha unknowingly. And it was a 2 count. But it was a roll-up that would get Charlotte Flair pinned by Toni Storm. And that was an epic match. Let me just say, it was a very great tag team match to start off Friday Night SmackDown. And it was the first of 3 tag matches that we would have that night. And of course, I was saying we got to get Charlotte Flair versus Toni Storm at day 1. But we get an early Christmas present because it will happen next week for the Women's Championship. Moving on, we have Natalya sending a message to Xia Li, who made her debut last week. That would make an interesting match. And of course, we have another tag match, the Raiders versus Shanky and Jinder Mahal. And of course, Shanky was pretty impressive, and they isolated Shanky, and Jinder isolated Eric from the Raiders. Somehow later on, Ivar got in, and those two squashed Jinder Mahal, and Ivar went for a splash that crushed Shanky for the 1, 2, 3. Ready for the raid. Everybody pump your chest like this. But either way, the Raiders get the victory tonight and put themselves as the tag team for the Usos or the New Day, depending on who wins on New Year's Day, on notice. Next, we have the very ridiculous angle of Happy Talk, which features Dumb and Dumber Happy Corbin and former Joker stooge Madcap Moss, who stole the table with Drew McIntyre's sword in it and brings it to the ring this week. They stole it last week and they brought it to Chicago to host Happy Talk. Why are fans clapping when Corbin is singing a child song? If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Why y'all clapping with that? What's wrong with you? But either way, they got into their angle. They bored us with their jokes, and the fans were so bored that they started chanting CM Punk. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but even before CM Punk went to AEW, CM Punk was a chant whenever WWE matches were boring to fans or whenever they were least interested in something. They chanted CM Punk. So CM Punk was always relevant, even when he wasn't in action. He was always relevant, and he was the guy they chanted when they were bored, and they were bored. So thankfully, Drew McIntyre comes in and stops them. This boring, snoring segment where your jokes put us all to sleep. Your jokes suck. Either way, after trying to pull the sword out unsuccessfully because you're not worthy of Thor's hammer nor Drew's sword, Drew comes out and wipes them out, runs them out of the ring. Corbin's hat stinks, by the way, according to Pat McAfee, and Drew draws the sword. And from what we heard, we are going to get Drew McIntyre versus Joker's former stooge, Madcap Moss. I think Baron Corbin versus Drew would have been a lot interesting, but what the heck. Joker's stooge is not smiling anymore. And of course, next we have a very short match between Cesaro and his Matrix entrance, which is good timing because we got the Matrix coming out soon. And you have Ridge Holland, a protege of Sheamus. It's fight night, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, Ridge Holland took the crooked way out by attacking Cesaro on the ribs with a shillelagh, which injured Cesaro. But Cesaro was not going to back down from a fight. He got into the ring, but it did him no good because Ridge Holland went after the ribs, and before Cesaro could build some true momentum, he got distracted on the outside, and Ridge Holland would finish him off successfully. So there's that short angle. And I think Ridge Holland and Sheamus might make a good tag team. Who knows? Moving on, we have a very short match. Naomi wants one thing for Christmas, as we all do, and that's to see Naomi beat up Sonya Deville like Stone Cold whipped Mr. McMahon back in the Attitude Era. But instead of getting Sonya Deville versus Naomi tonight, Shayna attacked from behind, and Sonya, in her crooked officiating, had the match go aboard. But it didn't go out her way, and it didn't go as she determined it to, because Naomi would make short work of Shayna Baszler. Remember when Shayna Baszler was the most intimidating, disturbing wrestler that we all wanted to see dethroned, but they built her so she wouldn't be unstoppable? And of course, the person who dethroned her is being defeated by Queen Zelina Vega. Not that there's anything wrong with Vega. She's cool. But either way, back to the point, Shayna is not being built the same, but we still want to see Naomi get her hands on Sonya Deville. I just wanted to point that point out about Shayna. But hopefully we'll get that match at day one. Sonya Deville versus Naomi. Because I guess that's what they're building up. I don't know. But nonetheless, Naomi gets a victory over Shayna Baszler via roll-up, and hopefully we'll see the Glow take out Shayna. Moving forward, we have one of the greatest rivalries ever, tag rivalries. You think of rivalries as tag teams, you think of Edge and Christian versus Dudley's versus the Hardys, for starters. But tonight we got the Usos versus the New Day, and those two have had incredible matches together. And tonight they went and had another match. And it was a filling out process with the Usos isolating Kofi Kingston for a little bit, but then Xavier got in the match and delivered a highlighted leg drop. We thought it was going to be an elbow, but he delivered a leg drop onto Jimmy Uso for a 2 count. And due to distraction outside of the ring, Kofi Kingston tagged in and delivered the Trouble in Paradise for the victory, giving them momentum onto Sunday. And I don't know if they're going to win Sunday, but they'll probably book it for the Usos to win, but we don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen in WWE. So let's see what happens as we write a great chapter in another great rivalry between the Usos and the New Day. Hell, King Woods. Last but not least, we have Roman Reigns arriving to SmackDown. I'm used to him opening and finishing the show, but tonight he just ended the show. Not necessarily the way he wanted to, because earlier tonight we saw Paul Heyman wait outside for Roman to arrive, and as soon as he opens the door, it's Brock Lesnar. And also, where is Kayla? Because I'm used to Kayla startling Paul Heyman. Kayla wasn't here tonight. Hope she's not sick or anything. It's a real shame when somebody is absent and you're saying, please don't be sick. The pandemic done messed our minds up. But either way, she wasn't here to startle Paul tonight. And I really wish she was. But either way, we have Brock Lesnar arrived first. And then when Roman arrived, instead of going out of the door that Paul opened for him, he went out on the opposite side and went to the ring. And when he got there, he interrogated Paul Heyman. He was disappointed that the Usos lost tonight, but he said we can get through anything. We're family. We're blood. But Paul, you ain't blood. So, he was interrogated by Roman Reigns like Batman interrogates people, or should I say the Dark Knight. But Roman interrogated Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman started looking like he was about to cry, like a child who had to send a note home to his disciplinary parents who believe in spanking a child. He looked like a child who knew his parents was going to get the spoon and tap his butt cheeks. Either way, Paul Heyman finally confessed that he was not trying to protect Brock from Roman, but rather vice versa, protecting Roman from Brock Lesnar. And so Roman handled it very calmly. He hugged Paul. And I'm going to do a Paul Heyman impression. Tell me what you guys think. Paul, I appreciate your service. Yes, my tribal chief. I thank you for your honesty. Yes, my tribal chief. And you're fired. And the look on Paul Heyman's face was priceless. Before I go any further, let's just acknowledge the fact that the fans of Chicago like Roman Reigns, and they acknowledged him before Roman commanded it. So not only that, they chanted his name, they acknowledged him, and as Paul was being interrogated, the fans chanted, "You screwed up." And Roman agreed with him. The fans liked Roman tonight. Either way, consequently, Roman Reigns fired Paul Heyman and went for a Superman punch, knocking Paul Heyman out. And he was about to go for a concerto, but Brock Lesnar comes out and F5s, wiping out both Usos on the entranceway. And can we just talk about the fact that Brock Lesnar took 3 chair shots to the back from Roman Reigns and was unaffected. It was just ineffective. It didn't hurt him because immediately after the 3 chair shots, Roman was picked up and F5 twice by Brock Lesnar. And Michael Cole made a point that maybe Paul was trying to protect Brock, because what we saw tonight is not a hiker, not a guy trying to be a fellow Canadian friend with Sami Zayn. We saw the Beast, the Conqueror, the future, reigning, defending, Universal Heavyweight Champion, Brock Lesnar. And this is the part where Brock hops. Don't mock Brock. Otherwise, you'll get hurt like Bryan Danielson then. Speaking of Bryan Danielson, that was one of the most epic 1-hour matches with no finish. Hangman Adam Page had Bryan for the finish, but time ran out. And I believe Hangman Adam Page would have won. But sticking to SmackDown business, Brock Lesnar sent a great message to Roman Reigns that he is ready to fight him at day 1 and Roman's days may be numbered. So, what do you think of tonight's episode of Friday Night Smackdown? Let me know in the comments section what you think. But that's all the time I have for you today, and I will be back tomorrow with a review on my 5 favorite matches from both Trish Stratus, RVD, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, because it is 3 birthdays on one day, and I will see you then. But for now, this is the Danny Show reviewing SmackDown, and I'll see you next time. Thank you again to all subscribers. Have a great weekend.